What if Anakin and Obi Wan captured General Grievous at the beginning of Revenge of the Sith? That's our story for today. Hope you guys enjoy, and let's get right into it. Our story begins on the Invisible Hand, just minutes after the death of Count Dooku, leader of the Separatist Alliance. Anakin knew that Dooku was to the Separatists what Palpatine was to the Republic, the center of gravity, and with Dooku removed, the Separatists would begin to spin out, lose control, fade away, and soon enough be defeated for good. But one obstacle did remain that was keeping this war from coming to a swift end: General Grievous. And as luck would have it, Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Palpatine were being escorted to the bridge of the Separatist flagship, where Grievous was awaiting their presence. This could all end right here, right now. What Anakin did up in the spire of this ship, murdering Dooku in cold blood, that feeling inside of him of feeling like a hateful murderer not in control of himself, now faded away as they entered the bridge. He could end the war today and finally be free to live his life the way he'd always dreamt of. He could finally be free. And when they faced Grievous, Anakin couldn't help but throw some words at him. He'd never met the droid general, so it felt good to insult him, especially as Grievous thought he was in control of the situation here. Grievous growled, clearly ready to strike down him, Kenobi, and Palpatine, so the Jedi yelled at R2 to go now, and the little astromech started electrocuting their handcuffs, freeing the Jedi and Palpatine, as they called their sabers to their hands, igniting them and facing down Grievous's Magna Guards. The guards fought Skywalker and Kenobi, moving them towards the window, and as Grievous was able to go towards Palpatine as the Jedi were distracted, Anakin swung his blade around to cut off the arms of one guard before stabbing it through its droid heart. Then he turned to see Grievous approaching Palpatine. Grievous was angry that Dooku was killed, and he decided perhaps it was better to just kill Palpatine right now. So he swung a metal arm right into Palpatine's unexpected head as the Chancellor fell to the floor, knocked unconscious. This made Anakin extremely angry, and he force-pushed Grievous into the metal doors right before Grievous could stab through Palpatine. This left a clear imprint on the door, as Grievous now crawled at the two Jedi who were standing at the ready. Obi-Wan looked to Anakin, telling him that if he knows Grievous, then he will try to escape, so he told Anakin not to let him. Grievous ignited two lightsabers, holding one against each of the Jedi, and Anakin used the Force to call a Magna Guard staff to his open hand, plunging it into Grievous's side. Grievous yelled out as the electricity hit him, and Obi-Wan was able to cut off one of Grievous's hands, before turning and slicing up the droid general's back. Grievous fell to the floor, his mobility circuits cut through, and it was as if he were paralyzed. Anakin said they should kill him now, but Obi-Wan said it would be better if he were taken alive, so with a sigh, Anakin plunged the electrostaff into Grievous's mask until his body basically shut down. Not dead, merely unplugged per se. Anakin then moved to Palpatine. He was bleeding pretty heavily from his head where Grievous hit him, but he was most certainly alive. So Anakin picked up the Chancellor's body, and Obi-Wan shook his head, looking down at Grievous. Anakin joked that he was the one who wanted to keep Grievous alive, so he gets to carry him. Fair is fair, Obi-Wan said, as he lifted Grievous over his shoulders. The cyborg was larger and much heavier than any human, so they hurried out of here and down one level to the escape pods. They were able to eject from the ship just as it went up in flames above Coruscant, and the pod was descending down to the surface. As they flew, Anakin asked Obi-Wan what was going to happen next. Grievous is captured, Dooku is dead, Palpatine was rescued. The war should come to a swift end, right? And Obi-Wan gestured at Palpatine's body, still knocked out cold from the hit, and Obi-Wan said everything will be up to the Chancellor. But with a smile, Obi-Wan said that he suspects the Jedi will be more than happy to reward Anakin for rescuing Palpatine and bringing down the top two Separatist leaders. Anakin smiled, thinking to himself about finally getting the recognition he thought he deserved. On the day the Separatists launched everything they had and captured Dooku, it was somehow the worst day of the war for them. The pod would land safely in a secure zone, and before long Palpatine was awake, and Grievous was placed on a Republic prison speeder, while restrained heavily. He was taken away, never to be seen again, and Mace Windu met Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Palpatine, with a bunch of senators behind him. They were all buzzing with excitement after seeing Grievous captured, and the better news was still to come. Anakin and Obi-Wan announced Dooku died aboard the Invisible Hand, and everyone could suddenly feel it. The end of the war was here. Windu met eyes with Palpatine, and he said that the Jedi Council expects that a declaration of peace will soon be announced. And Palpatine nodded, assuring Windu that everything will be settled in time, and he moved past the Jedi without saying anything else. Windu felt a bit wary of the interaction, but he figured Palpatine was just feeling a bit overwhelmed from everything that's happened. For now, he turned back to Anakin. The Jedi owed Anakin quite a bit for what he's done today. Anakin was supposed to deliver a mission report to the senators, but Windu instead asked him to come with him back to the temple. Windu was honestly impressed, and for the first time since the start of the war, he felt genuine happiness. The war could end with Grievous captured, and Windu wanted to repay Anakin for delivering this devastating blow to the Separatists. Anakin shifted awkwardly for a moment, looking over Windu's shoulder, and Windu turned to see a woman hiding in the shadows. Anakin quickly made up a lie, saying that Padme was an ally, looking to end the war through the Senate, and she's waiting for him to deliver a report, so he would like to tell her what has happened today. Windu nodded, then told Anakin to go talk to Padme, then join him and Obi Wan in the transport. Anakin nodded, and once Windu had turned, he ran to Padme, lifting her up, spinning her around, as Padme prepared to deliver the excellent news of her pregnancy. Meanwhile, Windu boarded the transport with Obi Wan, and once again, Windu held a look of pure seriousness. He looked to Obi Wan and said that now they will find out if what Dooku said on Geonosis is true. If this mysterious Darth Sidious is secretly controlling the war, controlling the Senate, or maybe even controlling Palpatine, then the war will not end today, despite the end of Grievous and Dooku. Obi-Wan said that the Senate will never vote to continue the war after today, but Windu shook his head, asking if there truly is a Senate any longer. Palpatine and his emergency powers have much more control than the Senate, so it will be up to him whether this war comes to an end. Obi-Wan asked what this means exactly, and Windu said that if Palpatine does not end the war and give up his powers, then the Jedi Council will have to move against him and force him to give up the emergency powers. And Windu said they're going to need Anakin. And with today's events, Windu trusted Anakin more than ever. So as Anakin boarded the transport, Windu said that the Council is awaiting him. When the three Jedi returned to the temple and entered the Council chambers, Anakin saw all of the Council members looking at him. And as Windu and Kenobi took their seats, Yoda asked Anakin to kneel. In order for a Jedi Knight to be promoted to Master, they typically would have to train a Padawan to knighthood, but not all the time. Anakin's Padawan left the order before that could happen. But a Jedi could also become a Master if their performance simply deemed they were ready. Not only had Anakin saved Palpatine and defeated Dooku, but he captured Grievous alive. Had Grievous escaped, the Council likely would have been hesitant to do this until they were sure the war was coming to an end. But how could they not give Anakin this opportunity now? He was the most powerful of them all, perhaps. And Yoda thought doing this would stabilize Anakin, allowing him to trust the Jedi more, as they may have to use some drastic actions to end this war. So Anakin was made a Master, and he was given the open seat in the Council chambers. For Anakin, this was a dream come true. For years in the war, he'd given everything he had to protect the Republic, and now he was being rewarded. Anakin's trust and faith in the Jedi was stronger than ever, and upon learning Padme was pregnant, Anakin wanted nothing more than to end this war today. And so the Council began discussions, asking if Palpatine truly intends to bring peace to this conflict. Ki-Adi-Mundi said what everyone was thinking. If this war does not end today, then Palpatine must have someone controlling him. Perhaps Darth Sidious. And Anakin spoke up, saying that he does think the Chancellor is a good man, but he understands the Jedi's perspective. So Anakin asked for 24 hours before the Jedi do make a move. He would like to be alone with the Chancellor, and maybe he can get him to reveal the truth. Plo Koon spoke now, telling Anakin to see how much, if anything, Palpatine knows of the Sith. If this Darth Sidious is truly in control of the Republic, then perhaps Palpatine knows much more than he's letting on. The Council looked to each other, and they all agreed to allow Anakin to spy on Palpatine, as it was Anakin's idea, and Master Anakin Skywalker would leave the Council chambers to go meet with Padme. Meanwhile, across Coruscant, Chancellor Palpatine was meeting with Sly Moore and Mas Amedda. The last thing he wanted was the capture of Grievous. The clumsy cyborg was supposed to escape and prolong the war. And now Palpatine was being squeezed in every direction by the Jedi and the Senate. He needed Grievous to escape, but even that wouldn't work, as Grievous was basically paralyzed by Kenobi. It would take days, if not weeks, of repairs just for him to walk again. So they needed a new plan. Mas Amedda and Sly Moore watched the door as Palpatine, acting as Sidious, contacted Newt Gunray and the Separatist leaders. They were hiding on Utapau, but they were panicking. With Dooku and Grievous dead, they were paranoid, and they barely trusted Sidious anymore. it felt as if things were falling apart. So when Sidious contacted them, Gunray said this war is hopeless, and they want to pursue an end to the conflict. The leaders feared death, so they came together, figuring that if they surrender, they can avoid execution. And Gunray ended the message, cutting off all negotiations with Sidious. And Sidious felt more powerless than ever. And of course, within minutes, a squad of senators led by Padme Amidala entered the room, and Anakin was with them. The senators, consisting of Padme, Bail, Mon Mothma, Jar Jar Binks, and a handful of others sat across from Palpatine, and they requested an immediate, permanent ceasefire, and that Palpatine relinquish his emergency powers. Anakin stood behind them, his expression unreadable, and Palpatine gave a warm smile, telling the senators he is pursuing a ceasefire tirelessly, but war does not simply end in a single day. These negotiations could take days, if not weeks, and Palpatine assured them that he wants this war to end just as much as anyone else. Padme asked bluntly if Palpatine was truly pursuing a diplomatic solution, and Palpatine said they must trust him to do what is right. After a bit more back and forth, Padme and the committee would get up to leave, while Anakin stayed standing in his place, and when they were gone, Anakin sunk into his mode of deception. He didn't love how Palpatine was handling this. He wanted the war to end now. He wanted peace. So, when he was alone with Palpatine, Anakin lied, saying he isn't sure that he trusts the Senate or the Jedi Council. Anakin said he thinks he deserves to be a Jedi Master, but the Council doesn't share that sentiment. Of course, Anakin was lying, but Palpatine didn't know that right now. And Palpatine told Anakin that in times of instability like these, some groups, such as the Senators or the Jedi Council, will see opportunity. Anakin asked what he meant, and Palpatine said he fears that the Jedi are going to use this end to the war to try and take over the Republic. And now Anakin decided to go in on Palpatine, saying that he thinks the Sith are waiting to take over. And Anakin looked to the floor, saying that he sometimes wonders if there are powers in the Force that the Jedi are hiding from him. He wants more, and he is afraid that he will never learn to truly become as powerful as he can be. In Palpatine's near-panic state, he saw an opportunity here. He didn't expect Anakin to turn so soon, but perhaps this could work. He asked Anakin if he would be willing to do anything to achieve this power. Would he like to learn the power to save people from dying, so he never has to live through a moment like the one with his mother? Anakin said of course, but the Jedi don't offer that kind of power. Palpatine was pacing the office now, and he told Anakin to forget the Jedi, learn the powers of the Sith, the powers of the dark side, the power to save life and become immortal. All he must do is pledge himself to the Sith, and Palpatine said he will train Anakin to become the most powerful being ever. Anakin ignited his blue blade, genuinely pretty confused. He said, "You," and Palpatine gave a kind smile, saying yes, he is the Sith Lord. Anakin expected Mas Amedda, Slime, or one of the Red Guards, but no, Palpatine was the Sith Lord, and he now played right into Anakin's hands. Anakin put away his lightsaber, and he asked Palpatine what he would ask of him. So Palpatine smiled again, relieved, telling Anakin to go to the temple, find out what the Jedi are planning, report back to him. In time, their power will control the galaxy. Anakin said it will be done, and he left the office, heading back to the temple. Palpatine watched him go, unsure if Anakin was being sincere. He didn't sense any conflict in Anakin, but that could just be because Anakin already had chosen the light. So as the sun was going down on Coruscant, Palpatine decided that all he could do was wait. If Anakin was lying, then the Jedi would be coming here, and he would frame it as treason, executing Order 66 whenever he gets the chance. But the Jedi weren't planning on arresting Palpatine. No, they were planning deep down on destroying him. They all knew the Sith would stop at nothing to bring destruction to the Republic. So when Anakin informed Windu, Yoda, and Obi Wan about this news, they all could come to an agreement on one thing. He was too dangerous to be left alive. The same words Palpatine told Anakin about Dooku aboard the Invisible Hand were the same thoughts the Jedi now had about Palpatine, and the four of them would take off to Sidious's office, while the other council members on Coruscant prepared the temple for any attack, just in case. So as the Jedi entered the executive building, moving towards the office of the Chancellor, they were ready for a fight, and the Jedi entered the office, igniting their lightsabers. Palpatine turned to them and said it's just as he suspected. The Jedi are here to kill him and take over the Republic. Palpatine, of course, was recording this interaction, so once he either kills the Jedi or is taken prisoner, he can play it for the Republic to hear. but the Jedi didn't intend on Palpatine ever getting out of here, and 4 of them moved in at once, determined to end this once and for all. At first, the fight was evenly matched, Sidious's red blade moving perfectly around, parrying, countering the relentless assault from all 4 Jedi. He spun and flipped through the office, truly showing off his hidden darkness, and the Jedi stayed right with him. And as the battle raged on, the combined strength of the Jedi began to wear Sidious down. For the first time, doubt truly flickered in his eyes. The Jedi were trying to kill him. Windu strikes became more forceful, pushing Sidious back towards the wide window that overlooked the Coruscant skyline. Yoda's attacks grew faster, his small frame darting in and out of the Sith Lord's defenses, while Anakin and Obi Wan moved in perfect sync, their bond as master and apprentice turning them into a great force of power. Sensing the tide against him, Sidious made a split-second decision. With a powerful but risky force push, he sent Yoda and Mace crashing into opposite walls, momentarily stunning them before alerting his guards to run in and distract them. Anakin moved in now, but Sidious ducked a strike and kicked Skywalker out of the broken window. The Jedi slid down a bit, but he recovered, and Sidious then focused solely on Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan's defenses did hold, but just barely. Sidious pressed down harder, pushing the Jedi Master towards the edge of the room, and with a flick of his wrist, Sidious sent a new shower of debris flying at Anakin, Yoda, and Windu, forcing them to divert their attention. And in that brief moment, Sidious saw his opportunity. He feigned a high strike, and as Obi-Wan moved to block, Sidious twisted around, driving his blade deep into Kenobi's abdomen. Obi-Wan gasped, his lightsaber slipping from his grip as he fell to the ground. Anakin shouted Obi-Wan's name, rushing to his friend's side. Sidious, with his yellow eyes gleaming with satisfaction, turned his gaze on Anakin, saying, "You see now, Skywalker," his voice dripping with malice. "The Jedi are weak. Their ideals nothing but chains. The dark side is the only way to save your friend." Anakin's breath quickened, his mind racing. He looked down at Obi-Wan, who was barely conscious, the pain evident in his eyes. A wave of anger and fear washed over Anakin, the familiar pull of the dark side beckoning to him. He could feel its power, its promise of strength and control, and for a moment, he wavered. He needed to save Obi-Wan. But from across the room, he heard Yoda's voice, calm and steady, despite everything going on, and they were calling to Anakin, urging him not to give in to the Sith. And Obi-Wan reached up, touching Anakin's face, and telling him not to save him, instead he must save himself from the darkness. And Anakin closed his eyes, nodding. Sidious sensed the turn back to the light, but before he could strike, Anakin surged forward, his lightsaber reigniting with a blue flash. He attacked Sidious with a renewed power, as Yoda and Mace joined the fight once more, their combined might overwhelming Sidious, forcing him back, and Sidious unleashed a torrent of Force lightning, filling the room with blue energy. The Jedi defended themselves, but the power of this attack forced them to stay back. So Anakin used the Force, calling Obi-Wan's lightsaber into his hand, and he threw it through the lightning. Suddenly, the blue energy came to a halt, and Palpatine's body fell to the floor in 2 pieces. The saber cut right through him. The Sith Lord was dead. Anakin ran to Obi-Wan's side, and Obi-Wan told Anakin that he'd never been more proud, and in his final breath, Obi-Wan told Anakin to find Padme and live a joyful life. 1 year later, Anakin was watching his twin children as they swam in a Naboo lake with a group of Gungan children. Naboo was their home, and Anakin was happy in his new, peaceful life. Soon, Padme came from the house, calling to Anakin and the children as they were traveling back to Coruscant for the week. Padme had Senate meetings to attend, and Anakin was going to catch up with the Council. Over the last year, the galaxy shifted back into peace, as the corruption of the Senate was exposed. Chancellor Mon Mothma was working hard to bring true peace for all people of the Republic. Things were good, and as the children left the water, Anakin held his necklace around his neck. It was a small case with Obi-Wan's Kyber crystal inside. It reminded him of his master, and in times of need, Anakin would meditate, focusing on the crystal. It reminded him of his master, and he would often hear the voice of Kenobi come to him, guiding him, and it reminded Anakin he always made the right choice, helping ensure the galaxy found peace in the end. And folks, that is our story for today. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. I think Grievous getting away was very impactful, obviously. I don't know if it would really shift all this, but it's a what-if story, and I had fun writing this. You know, the war would have come to an end pretty quickly, I think, if Grievous was captured or killed, so I wanted to really just go down that route and see what it would be like if the roles were kind of reversed, if Anakin truly did want to spy on Palpatine, because in the movie he didn't, and Palpatine used that against him. But what if Anakin saw a real end to the war, and he didn't even have the chance to have the nightmares about Padme because everything just happened so quickly. So really wanted to take that path. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you thought, and I'll see you in the next video.